The compound account. The screen flickered once. Her name appeared. Final notice. That's what the message said, like the end of a contract, not a marriage. I stared at it for a long time, watching the words blur into the glow of my phone screen. Final notice. No apology, no hesitation. Just the legal closure of a decade of my life. A knock followed moments later. A man's voice, confident, calm, the kind of calm only lawyers wear like cologne. When I opened the door, he didn't even look nervous, handing me the last of the paperwork. "Court's decision is final, Mr. Hale," he said. "You have 72 hours to vacate the property. My house, my business, my money, even my kids. All stamped, signed, and stolen under her name, Lydia Hale, and her new lover, the lawyer." He left before I could speak, but his cologne lingered, expensive, arrogant. I remember standing in the middle of the empty living room that night, my reflection warped across the glass where our family photos used to hang. The silence was loud enough to drown in. When she laughed at me in court, "Sue me, I'm untouchable," I believed her. That was the moment I stopped feeling. She took $8.7 million. And somehow, that wasn't the part that hurt. The part that carved through me was when my youngest, Eli, refused to hug me goodbye. He stood behind her, clutching her leg like I was a stranger. I'd built the business from dust. She'd built her lies from silk. Lydia had always been strategic, quietly charming, beautiful in a way that made people underestimate her. She smiled while she buried you. The lawyer, Robert, was the perfect weapon. Handsome, articulate, the kind of man who could make betrayal sound like justice. They said I was unstable, financially reckless, emotionally detached. Words she'd fed him over time, turning every weakness into evidence. In court, I watched her pretend to cry. Not for me, for the audience. When the verdict was read, she reached for his hand and smiled. By the time I left that courtroom, I wasn't angry, just hollow. I sold my car the next week, pawned the last of my tools. The only thing I had left of my family was a small brass key from my grandfather's estate, a keepsake I'd forgotten about for years. It belonged to an old savings account he'd opened in the 1960s. I remembered him mentioning it once, saying it was for emergencies only. This felt like an emergency. I walked into the bank that Friday afternoon. The air smelled sterile, like glass and new money. "Can I help you, sir?" the teller asked. "Yeah," I said quietly, sliding the key across the counter. "I'd like to close an account. My grandfather's. Name's Harold Hale." She nodded, typing without looking up. "Do you have the account number?" I handed over the small paper card. It was yellowed with age. Ink faded to a ghost. "Let's see." She stopped, frowned, typed again. Her fingers slowed. Her expression shifted. "Sir, could you please confirm the opening year of this account?" 1960, I said. "It should only have $100 in it, maybe less." She blinked at the screen, lips parting. Then she turned pale. "One moment," she whispered. She left her desk, returning with a manager, an older man in a dark suit. He glanced at the monitor, then at me. "Mr. Hale," he said carefully, "I think you might want to sit down." He turned the screen toward me. Numbers, rows, compound interest calculations spanning 65 years. The balance read $94,020,517.32. For a second, I thought I'd misread it, but the manager's face said otherwise. "This account has been accruing interest since 1960, he explained. "It was never touched, never reported dormant. Under our old legacy program, the interest compounded quarterly. You're the sole beneficiary. $94 million. Hidden in plain sight. My grandfather's emergency fund." I remember laughing once. A hollow, soundless thing. All the things Lydia took, the house, the business, the savings. They suddenly felt microscopic. I left the bank with a new card, a trembling signature, and a silence that buzzed like electricity in my ears. For 3 days, I said nothing. Not to her, not to anyone. Then I called her lawyer. "Robert," I said, "tell Lydia I'd like to settle a few remaining assets. Just paperwork." He hesitated. "She's done with this, Hale. Don't make it worse." "Oh," I said, "it's not worse. It's final." They met me at her lawyer's office. She arrived late, of course, dressed in victory. Red coat, diamond ring, the lawyer beside her like a bodyguard of ego. "Let's make this quick," she said. "Some of us have better things to do." I smiled faintly. Of course. I placed a single document on the table. A notarized transfer of ownership, my old business back into my name. Her brows furrowed. "You can't." "Already did," I interrupted. "Bought out the assets last night. The company that bought it went under, remember? I own that too." Her eyes darted to the lawyer. He looked confused. "That's impossible." I slid another folder forward. Bank statements, new accounts, investments, my grandfather's inheritance, all quietly transferred to shell corporations overnight. "You said you were untouchable," I said softly. "Turns out you just weren't looking far enough back." Her lips trembled. The lawyer's confidence cracked, confusion clouding his perfect posture. "What is this?" she whispered. "Compound interest," I said. "It grows while you sleep." The silence that followed felt sacred. She stared at the numbers, at me, at the realization that the man she'd left for dead was now wealthier than the life she'd stolen. "Lydia," I said finally, "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to end it. You wanted everything. Now you get nothing." I stood, calm, composed. Her hand reached out instinctively. "Wait." I didn't. As I walked out, I heard the paper tear, the sound of her carefully built empire collapsing, piece by piece, in her shaking hands. The house I bought was quiet. No photos, no memories, just space. Sometimes I drive past the old home. Her car's gone. The lawyer's nameplate is missing from the mailbox. I don't wonder what happened. I don't care. People think revenge is about making them hurt. It's not. It's about watching them realize they lost the only person who could have forgiven them. My kids write sometimes, short letters. Eli drew a picture of a house, bigger, brighter. Maybe one day I'll tell him what really happened. Maybe not. The truth is simple. They buried me alive, but they forgot to check for air. Now I breathe quietly, deliberately. In the stillness of my new world, I've learned something my grandfather must have known long ago. Some accounts gain value only with time, and some debts collect interest long after love dies. She thought she'd taken everything, but she never understood. The balance was always mine.